Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, people of all ages, welcome back to the Sticky Floors podcast. I am one of your hosts, CJ. I am joined by Mr. Will. If you're watching us on YouTube, you can see that Mr. Will is in the Fantastic Four. I guess he Fantastic Six now, right? We got to put one or 6.5 because it's 5.5. I don't know. Whatever it is when you count Franklin Richards, Will is next to that. Them joints there, man. Yo, Mr. I love the setup. We got props now, man.
Yeah.
Look at this. We got the thing. We got Galactus. We got the popcorn, dog. We got the
Yeah, man.
t-shirts. Yo, a lot of positive energy around this, man. If you don't know already, let me tell you. We're talking about the Fantastic Four First Steps. It is in movie theaters right now. So this is going to be heavy spoilers, heavy
Yeah,
spoiler
man.
conversation, man. So you can't say we didn't warn you. Don't say, oh, why come y'all talking about spoilers? I haven't seen it. Can't do that because I'm telling you now, spoilers. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about what happens in the movie. We're going to talk about the post-credit scenes. We're going to talk about what we think is going to happen in the future. So it's all on the table. Just let you know that. If this is your first time listening to Sticky Floors, we welcome you to the experience. Thank you for checking us out. We talk about things that are in theaters right now. We talk about things that have been in theaters for years. Our last episode, we did In Too Deep, starring Omar Epps and LL Cool J. So you can check that out on our YouTube page. We want you to subscribe so when our new drops come out, whether that's the full length show like this or little clips that we like to drop to just highlight some of our favorite parts, you get to see it and you get to see us break down these movies like this. Mr. Will, what's up with you? How you doing tonight, man?
Man, doing great. We're talking about one of the all-time premier teams who also coincidentally happens to be a family. So they're hitting on all cylinders. It's right up my alley. It's good with you, man.
Yo, I see it, man. I see you right now, man. I'm
Man.
jealous now. I should have prepared. Should have prepared. You should have just gave me a little text aid. By the way, you might want to get some FF stuff right now. We're gonna know next year for do it. Look, Doomsday. I might do the Doomsday joint with the mask on, like the MF Doom
New
style.
style. Oh,
I
man.
might do it like that with
Yeah.
the green hoodie. Like, we might have to
Yeah.
go. Might have to go there. But yeah, man, this is good. I'm looking forward to getting into this as well. So yeah, let's jump into it, man. I'm kicking it over to you, man. Give us a summary
All
on
right.
Fantastic Four First Steps.
Appreciate that, man. Marvel's first family is back in Fantastic Four First Steps, and this time, saving the world might just tear them apart. As cosmic storm clouds gather, Reed Richards, aka Mr. Fantastic, stretches his intellect to the limits when the enigmatic Silver Surfer, this time Shala Ball, arrives, heralding a force of nature that eats planets for breakfast, aka Galactus. While Invisible Woman struggles to keep both her powers and her marriage from imploding, Johnny Storm, aka the Human Torch, flames out trying to prove he's more than just hot air. Meanwhile, Ben Grimm, the blue-eyed, ever-loving Thing, discovers that even rock-solid strength may not be enough against the universe's oldest hunger.
There it is. There it is, man. Look, man. So I saw this the Thursday. I guess yeah, Thursday night, man. 7 o'clock showing. Theater was packed. Theater was packed with people. A lot of people in there in like Fantastic Four shirts and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like it really brought a crowd out, and it was a great movie watching experience. You love to be in a theater with people that are excited about seeing the movie that you're seeing.
Yeah, and like I told you during the pre-production meeting, I went to two different showings on the same day on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it was two different experiences. The 3 o'clock, no, 3:30 showing was a little bit more subdued, but I think that's due to the fact that you had more of an older crowd
Mm-hmm.
of individuals like in their mid to late 60s, and then you had them either bringing their grandchildren or nieces and
Yes.
nephews.
Yes.
So they were trying to keep the kids in line, yet
Mm-hmm.
at the same token, they're a more mature crowd. Then I went to the 6 o'clock showing, and that had all of the enthusiasm
Yeah.
that you would expect with this type of movie. The enthusiasts were out in full force. Everyone, it felt like a Wu-Tang concert because everybody had some type of like Fantastic Four, Marvel,
Yes.
paraphernalia and stuff. And you had obviously the Geek Squad out talking about every little minute detail as it
Yes.
occurred.
Yes.
But I couldn't
Yes.
even get mad at them because I was like, they make some valid points, or if I happen to hear them, they were on such a level where it wasn't that distracting.
Yo, check this out. So like when I'm in the theater, like I'm taking notes as I'm in
Yeah,
the theater.
yeah.
So I'm taking notes. So the dude who was sitting next to me was also taking notes. So it's so
Mm.
funny because it's like I guess we both was like, yeah, we're gonna be talking about this. Check.
Yeah,
'Cause we both
yeah.
taking notes. So it's like, yeah, it was a really good movie watching experience. And I gotta tell you the truth, man. I needed this. I needed to
Mm,
have this type of experience watching a comic book movie because it's felt like a long time for me. And
got you.
we talk about comic book movies all the time.
Hmm.
You're definitely more of a comic book enthusiast, movie enthusiast than I am at this point. But I have to say that I sat in this film and the entire time I was like, oh, I like that. I like that.
Hmm.
I like how they did that. So my commentary overall on this is going to be definitely positive because I think that this was actually a really good project that Marvel put together.
Folks, CJ's underselling it. The last few movies that we've commented on that happen to be superhero themes, my man was like, "Yo, I'm getting out of the game, yo. I'm retired."
I think
I'm
I'm
ret-
retired, man.
my man was like, "Yo, I'm going somewhere where I can get chubby. I'm gonna sit on the beach, sip
Right,
fruity drinks." Like
right.
he was done. And when they tell you when you play any type of sports, if you're already thinking about what your life is going to be, you're already retired. Like you're
Already
already there.
retired, man. I was like
Yeah,
Drew Brees, man. My
yeah.
feet don't work no more. I was like, I'm good. I'm good. I got the passing championships. I'm good. I watched all the movies. Got Disney Plus. Got my daughter watching all the movies now. I'm good. I can retire. If this joint
Man,
brought me out of retirement, this is like they called you like, hey man, we don't got a quarterback no more. You want to come in and just, we're a contender. You want to come in and join? I was like, yeah, maybe I can.
and you know what? That warmed my heart. Like I told CJ, that warmed my heart to hear that, man, because I was like, oh, now I know that this is going to be a dope movie. Because CJ went to the Thursday showing. So that's when I was like, oh, man, I know now that I'm going to be even higher on the Richter scale in this joint just because CJ gave the cosign.
Yeah. So great film. Right from the beginning, I think one of the best things that they did with this is that they started off by letting you know this is the 838 Earth, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what I
828.
828, thank you. And what that
Mm-hmm.
did for me as a person watching, it almost allowed me to kind of turn off some of my normal kind of stuff, which
Mm.
because something like this, you got Galactus in there. I'm gonna be like, where's Thor at?
Mm.
How come Captain Marvel ain't help him? Like
Mm.
what's Daredevil think about the mole people? Where's Spider Man at? That's New York City.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, it's dead already, so I can't say anything about her. But like, what's up with Daily Bugle? Did Galactus step on it? But
Mm.
they automatically got you all out of that, and it allowed them to create this world that was already going to be something different. And for me as a viewer, it also then allowed me to discover the world as I'm being talked about it or told about
That part that you just mentioned right there, that's key. It's key for me because, as a comic book enthusiast, as an admirer, as an aficionado, um, there's certain expectations I have,
it.
and
Mm-hmm.
maybe that's too strong of a word. I kind of anticipate a certain timeline
Mm-hmm.
or certain themes to be brought up, or oh, it didn't go that way.
Yeah.
And I've gradually tried to move away from that mentality, but it's still there. I must be honest. But this was different. One, the shout out to Jack the King Kirby,
Yep.
co-creator of the Fantastic Four, with the Earth being labeled as 828 because his birthday is August 28th of 1917. So shout out to him. Created a massive amount of characters from the Eternals to Captain America to the Fantastic Four, you name it. Like he's had a hand in everything, and it wasn't just at Marvel's. At Marvel, he even went to DC and he created the New Gods and Genesis and
Ah, okay.
and Dark Side. So like you name it, this guy gets busy, and that's why they call him the King. So that's first and foremost. Got to pay homage and give credit where credit's due. The second thing is with this establishment of this Earth, now you can see like it's okay, it's acceptable for it to be a timepiece because
Yeah.
that's foreshadowing to one of my likes, but this is the reason why it's a futuristic yet at the same thing a little nostalgia as
Yes.
far as like the environment and things like that. And definitely major props to the Fantastic Car, which is very comic
Yes.
book
Very. Yeah. It
accurate.
looked really good. Yeah. It did.
Yeah,
It did.
very good. Um, But at the same token, while I'm growing with this universe and understanding, like when he mentions the Fantastic Fours, who they I think they have an underrated villains list. CJ and I talked about this before in several other movies about individuals with a very classic uh, uh, villains rogues gallery. Batman and Spider-Man being top tier.
Absolutely.
But the Fantastic Four, they, like CJ mentioned, they have Mole Man, Diablo, who's a little bit unbeknownst to the rest of the non-comic book viewers. And then they also have obviously Doctor Doom, and
Hmm.
they have the Thinker and the Wizard. These are all individuals that they have uh, a pretty high threshold as far as like their talent, their powers, et cetera, et cetera. Um, but even with that said, I'll draw this to a close because I don't want to be too long winded because I'm really hyped about this
Not saying
movie.
you're in your bag.
Really
I got
souped on. But I just want to say, like, the fact that they introduced these characters, whether it be word of mouth or even with the Silver Surfer not being the classic Norman Rad, um, it just allowed me to see these guys in a new light. It
you. Yeah.
allowed me to be like, oh wow, okay, this is different, and I like it, and it
Yeah.
doesn't have to suck. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't. It like
Yeah.
just because it's new doesn't mean that it's garbage. So I
Yeah.
really appreciate that.
Agreed. And the you mentioned some of their villains. The beginning of the movie, they do like that kind of bringing the audience
Yeah,
up to speed
yeah.
with everything. So they didn't recreate the last first Fantastic Four movie
Mm-hmm.
where
Mm-hmm.
or the last two where we got to show you how they got their powers and all that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that so much. And I hope that, we saw that with Superman where they kind of introduced it 3 years into
Mm-hmm.
him being Superman. They did that back with the third restart of Spider-Man where, they just kind of started off with he's already Spider-Man, here's got the powers.
Mm-hmm.
I think that you got to do that with these legacy characters where people know them, they know that, and it really, I think for me, it also kind of gave me that backstory, like you said, of who these villains that they fight are, because they showed a couple things, they
Yeah.
showed a couple villains, and you could see then also a chance to see the Fantastic Four use their powers. And at this point, I gotta say that I was pleasantly surprised by the casting of the Fantastic Four.
Which
And
surprised me.
and I'm not, we talked about this like for a long time before,
Mm-hmm.
obviously before the movie started. I'm not one of those people. I know like a lot of people just and genuinely just love everything that Pedro Pascal's in. I don't
Yeah.
necessarily feel that way, and I almost felt watching the trailers, he was a little bit out of place as a Mr. Fantastic, or Vanessa Kirby was out of place as Sue Storm, and I
Mm.
didn't really like so much even the casting of the Human Torch. But to my surprise, they were all fantastic in it,
Yeah.
and it actually, what I thought in the beginning was kind of a detractor a little bit because I kind of looked at, Mr. Fantastic and Sue Storm, and to me, they felt a little older than
Mm.
I thought they should be. But then watching the movie, because the movie fast tracks to them already being married and now being parents, their ages make sense. And then the
Yeah.
age kind of difference between Sue and Human Torch becomes even more pronounced in a positive way. And I think to one of the things you said from the very beginning, it reinforces this not group dynamic, but also family dynamic. And I
Mhm.
think the characters just did a great job of tying together.
Yeah, no, that's exactly the same sentiment I had. I'll even expand a little bit further. Um, you know, when they show the different scenes of them coming up the ranks, so whether it be with the mole people coming from the
Yeah.
ground,
Yeah.
that's a classic comic book cover. That's Fantastic Four, Volume One, Issue
Hmm.
Number One, out in November of 63, 64. And I only remember it because my dad had it, and obviously it was a messed up copy, but
I was gonna say
nonetheless,
because you still got
yeah,
that. It's up.
yeah, yeah. You know what I mean?
you
But
doing you doing well right. If that was
nah,
meant, if that was 9.9 on the box, you're doing good right now.
nah. But let's see. The thing is like the Fantastic Marvel as a whole was my introduction, so that's
Mhm.
why it's endearing because of my dad. But then like the Fantastic Four, Spider Man, and Wolverine, in particular the X Men, but Wolverine, like that, those were my dad's like go to. So when I got to see this movie, it just ushered back my childhood. Like it really made me think. So just I could just indulge like not only that side of me that I don't normally do or allow, but at the same time, it was in a welcome space where everybody else was doing the same thing. So, you
Yep.
know, that acceptance as well as the commonality that you can share with others, that is one of the warm feelings I have about this movie. Then to see it executed on such a very high level,
Yes.
you know, because there's been countless failures from the 80s all the way into the early 2000s,
Yeah.
you know, and you try you it's almost like being in a room and you find yourself making excuses on why you should accept certain things, whether it be the people around you or the conditions or whatever have you.
Hmm.
And I did that for so many movies because I was like, well, this is as good as it's going to get. We're not going to get
Yeah.
anything else.
Yeah.
So you just, you know, you just settle. But with this, it really showed me that anything was possible. The
Hmm.
detail and the scale of Galactus, where his armor is more like mechanized,
Yes.
and
Great,
you
great,
know,
great detail. Yeah.
yeah, and you know the shadowing and the light and the contrast between his eyes and the pupils, whether it be the dilation of when he's exuding the power cosmic or not, or his ability, like just the subtlety of him flicking a finger to restrain the Silver Surfer when she says "I failed you," and he's just a baby.
Yeah.
Like Galactus don't care about none of that.
Yeah.
And then like the flames on Johnny. Like it wasn't like so cartoonish. Like you could really see how, you know, a guy who can control every, you know, molecule of his ability to control fire, he could, you know, save a child by not having his hands engulfed in flames.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up. When I was watching that scene, I thought, gosh, that really is unique and it really
Mm-hmm.
makes sense because, like I've always thought of like Human Torch as like his whole thing is fire, so he's got
Mm-hmm.
to be hot to everything that's touching.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
for them
yeah.
to show like, oh, he can make his hands not be hot while
Mm-hmm.
the rest of them is, and still give him the power to propel, it also then makes the idea of his particular version of torch not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily be my version of fire.
Yeah.
Which I was like, that's just a cool, unique detail. And then, like you said, it ties back to the fact that their powers come from like a cosmic accident as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to kind of like the normal way you generally think
Yeah.
of fire here on Earth.
You know, and that's the other thing too. But they still allow enough for like true science to come in, where Reed has to come up with a special suit for him that says, "Look, I've incorporated an additional
Yes.
oxygen supply,
Yes.
but it can be depleted,
Yeah.
and if so, yo, you're gonna choke out, man. Like you're
Yeah.
gonna pass out due
Yeah.
to oxygen deprivation." And you know, while they're in space, on the several times where either the thing got thrown by Galactus and you see him start to crystallize and you know the frost permeates his body,
Hmm.
or when Johnny's there and because of his particular power set, he's able to last a little bit longer and actually look at her while he's in the substratosphere. And it's like these little things as far as detail or read on the board and actually using pi and other equations and the
Hmm.
law of Archimedes, like these things bring a sense of authenticity and
Absolutely.
accuracy, scientific accuracy to these things. And I get it, science fiction, but
Yeah.
science fiction also leads to fact, leads to actual real science because you
Yeah.
have to have a hypothesis about these things.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and you're really hitting on like the interplay between the characters, and the movie does a great job of giving each
Yeah,
character their moment to shine.
yeah,
And that's a hard thing to do with an
mm,
ensemble kind of film where
yes,
everybody, there's people walking and say, my favorite character is the Thing, or my favorite
mm-hmm,
character is Human Torch, my favorite character is Sue Storm. So the movie does a great job of juggling them.
yes,
And then, the introduction of Franklin Richards having their child be in it, and then the way that they connect that with Galactus is, to me, I think that was where the movie even went up a notch because what the comic book movie universe has rarely shown is how would parents deal with
mm, yeah,
being
yeah,
superheroes
yeah. How would
and
they
having a
balance
child.
that?
Yeah, how would you balance that? And the struggle that they're facing in it, which is Galactus saying, I'm going to destroy this world,
mm.
or you give me your son,
Oh,
is immediately drawing, I think, as a viewer and as a parent, a completely different way of relating to the film, which was absolutely refreshing to me because, as we've talked about over the years, I think it's really hard to make comic book films at a certain point feel unique and different because
mm-hmm,
after a while, so many of the major themes keep
yeah.
getting done over and over again. But the introduction of the Franklin Richards part and the dynamic with Galactus, that just took it to another level for
Yeah, CJ, you are cooking with fish grease right there, man.
me.
Law, this is real talk. I'm not sending you any more Zelle money, man.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not sending you any more
Cash at me,
PayPal
baby.
Cash App joint.
There it is, man.
But in all seriousness, folks, that part right there that CJ is talking about specifically, I could see like different audience members really wrestling with that notion of, would you sacrifice your child, which is your world,
Yeah,
for your world?
to
Like
save the world, right?
what limits would you exhaust? Where's your these are my negotiables, but this is where I'm inflexible on.
Mm-hmm.
What's your line in the sand? And the fact that it was his mother, as like the lioness protecting and saying in a very articulate, sympathetic, and empathetic means of like, look, you guys are extension of my family, a la the human family, but this is also my family, and I won't sacrifice either. We will come up with a solution. We're in this together.
Yeah,
And that ties into the whole Steve Rogers Captain America telling Tony Stark Iron Man, like, look, we'll win together or we'll
yeah.
lose
We'll lose
together.
together. Yeah,
Either way, we're in this together, because the ramifications are bigger than just one person, selfish or not. And I think just that point hammering home in such a very, very fine way that hits home, that's never been done. I can't think of it. I can't think of one movie where it's like, these are the stakes.
yeah. And it does a great job. The movie does a great job with that, and then
Mm-hmm.
through that, it also allows you to see this tension between Reed Richards and Sue
Yes.
Storm about how to handle it, which is also
Oh,
new
that hit.
for the genre because we haven't seen the married
Mm-hmm.
superheroes trying to figure out how to navigate this marriage while also navigating this responsibility of being heroes. So the way that it's just a very very well done picture, man. Very well
Yeah.
done, and we haven't even really talked about the Silver Surfer, which we got
No.
to talk about, Shala Ball. And I have to say, I've seen like sometimes there can be so much negativity for a film before it even comes out.
Yeah.
And so many people online were saying, "Oh, the Silver Surfer should always be a guy, should always be Norrin Rad, and blah blah blah." And I don't care if it was Shala Ball in the comics one time.
Yeah.
It makes so much sense that it is Shia LaBeouf for this film
Yes.
because without that, the dynamic between her and the Human Torch isn't the same way,
Mm-hmm.
and that dynamic is so important to driving the story in a certain way at the end.
Yeah, and indirectly, she's able to relate to Sue on a
Yes,
different level than, say, Norrin Rad would have been,
yes,
because of the family. And they don't clearly define whether it was a niece or a daughter, but they do represent the child as being a part of the family
yeah,
unit and
hmm,
someone endearing to her, where she's committed to sacrificing. He
yep,
even says, I don't know if you were an astronomer or scientist, but it's in the realm of science.
yep,
And that's another thing where she can also relate to Reed,
yep,
where, hey, look, here's an analytical thinker, someone who's able to make critical decisions with no emotional sentiments whatsoever attached to it. And that also plays into the dynamic that you speak of the husband and wife, where she knows him intimately and she says, hey, I know how your mind
I
thinks.
know what you're
and
thinking. Yeah,
sometimes the you just being you hurts me.
yeah,
And that
great,
hit
great
on,
line, great
dog,
line,
that hit on so many
great
different
line.
levels, where it made me turn inward, and I was like, yo, is she taking shots? Like, what was going on?
Yeah,
Like,
you
indirect.
thought you was in church. He's like, is
Yeah.
the pastor talking about me
Uh,
right now?
yeah, man. Like, it just resonated on so many
Yeah, it did.
levels, where you start to peel back the layers of this movie like an onion.
Yeah,
Like, even from the scope of where Thing is bonding with his best friend, he's saying like, look, man, you got to stop beating yourself up over this. You didn't know this. And Reed, in an act of humility yet arrogance, is like, nah, I should have known this because I'm that smart. Just like all of these things coming together, this is what makes this movie so compelling. Is
yeah,
that it's beyond the powers. If you take the power sentiment out of it, hey, how would you respond if your best friend, the guy you grew up with, who you protected all your life, was indirectly involved in you facing the greatest hardship you've ever had to deal with? How do you
yeah,
connect with humans in that physical way that we all know that is important to us?
yeah,
Oh, you have a significant someone. How do you guys get over any little, battle or argument or disagreement? How do you handle that? And the stakes are so high where, hey, our world is falling apart. Literally,
yeah.
our world is falling apart. Or, I have my younger sibling, my in-law, who's working with me hand in hand, and he's still a kid and he's juvenile, and I don't have any time for his impetuousness.
Right. Yeah. So much there, and
Yeah.
it also, I think the core, and we've talked about this a lot of different ways. So I know I'm restating it a bit, but the core of this is this idea of them being like a family,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a real, like, they're like, you know, like husband, wife, brother, sister, friend, nephew, uncle, like
Mm-hmm.
all the things are there, all those different connections, and it makes all their interactions feel so authentic. And I would juxtapose it a bit differently than the Avengers, which is the kind of the prevalent
Mm.
model that you see now, which is kind of like a group of people who kind of come together because of a conflict, whereas
Yeah.
this is a group of people who were already
Ready
together
together. Yeah.
as a family who they experience something that changes them, but it makes their family bond stronger.
Yes.
So it's yeah, man, lot of good things, man, in this film, no doubt, no doubt.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I gotta say, even the voice actors for both the Silver Surfer and for Galactus, like I love their commanding presence,
Yeah,
where they're able to again evoke such strong emotions. Like they're able to elicit, sympathy, empathy. The flashback scenes of Shalabal on her planet. I
yep,
love the two moons in the background, like that like just everything about this was just so like aesthetically pleasing, to say
yeah,
the very least.
yeah.
And I'll even take it up a notch further. I think this movie benefited to such a degree by the failures of its
No
predecessors.
question, no
I
doubt
mean,
about it. Yes,
because
absolutely.
those movies were so bad, we're able to be like, this movie is that much better
Yeah,
because of those things, because of they were able to learn from what works and what doesn't work.
yes,
Because they were able to say, you know what, we're not going to do that ever again. We're going to
yeah,
go in this direction. We're
yeah,
going to actually listen to the creative people. We're not going to allow the bean counters to influence what we do. We're not going to have too many chefs in the kitchen. And I think, and this will be my last point on this before we transition, I think the fact that the last Fantastic Four movie with Miles Teller allows for Miles Teller, like they did with John Kaminsky, to come in and he can be the thinker. I think that allows for all these different variations when they're on Battle World fighting it out, all these variations of Reed Richards. I think that those guys will come back. You'll see Ian Grunfield. You'll see Miles Teller. You'll see John Krasinski, and now you'll see Pedro Pascal with on that next movie.
yeah. The Council of Reeds. They get
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Council of
yeah.
Reeds
I
vibe.
think
Yeah,
you'll see it, man.
no doubt, no doubt, man. All right, well, look, you said we're gonna get to the cake. I feel like we've talked about so many
Yeah,
things that we liked
yeah.
about the film already, but yeah, man, let's get into it, man. What's your cake?
Oh man, I've got basically everything about this movie. Some of it we've already talked about, so I won't bore you guys. Cast, story, characters, sets, props, FX, the time period itself, the setting, the period being that it's set on Earth 28, um, the technology, the interaction of Doom and Franklin Richards, but even the fact that, and I'll throw this one in there, we didn't talk about this, the fact that there is no Val just yet. So Franklin has a younger sister who's really powerful
Yeah.
as well, and
Hmm.
that's Doom's goddaughter. The fact that she's not there, they didn't rush into giving them the instant family just yet. I love that. The mentioning of the Future Foundation on a global scale, the ability that when they make Sue such a prominent figure in the world, it doesn't feel forced or rushed like on
Right.
some like, yo, we got to show that we have a strong, empowered woman who doesn't need a man or she's not a damsel. No, it just feels really organic
Yeah.
that this would take place from her. Again, the non drawn out, long winded retelling of the origin story, it being set 4 years into their superhero activities,
Mhm. Fair
and
enough.
last but not least, as I mentioned before, just concluding the whole Shala Ball joint.
Yeah.
Definitely dope.
Yeah, great parts. I'm gonna just jump in on one of my favorite scenes in the film, which
Yeah.
is when they are trying to escape from Galactus
Oh
and the Silver
man.
Surfer is chasing them through
Yeah.
like the different light
Woo.
speed tunnels. That is a great scene because
Yeah.
so much is happening. They're trying to get through.
Star Wars
She's
nostalgia.
chasing them. Sue's about to have the baby. It's
Yeah.
just it's one of the great set pieces in the film, and it has like it just feels like it has stakes to it.
Yeah.
And if you've ever been in your, you've been in the hospital when a child is about to be born,
Hmm.
you know that pressure there, what that feels
Yeah.
like. And then, obviously you got the Silver Surfer chasing you, and it was just a great scene. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I love that. And like you said, Julia Garner, fantastic in this film. Shout outs to Ozark too, where
Yeah.
she was always cooking
Yeah.
in that as well. The other thing I'll say is, and I know you alluded to it a bit, but it's like the 1960s kind of vibe allows for it to be a little bit more minimalist,
Hmm.
and so it's there's not like this, oh, we're going to use this super AI to do this thing.
Yeah.
Like they're using almost what looks like records as floppy
Hmm.
disks,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
you buy into the technology because of how established Reed, not only Reed, but everyone is as being these smart people.
Hmm.
So even the way that they give each character this gravitas of them being smart helps to move along everything that they have going on in the film. So I mean, there's so many things they execute well, and we didn't even talk about Galactus. Galactus is so much 1,000 times better than in Rise of the Silver Surfer, where it looked kind of like just a space cloud with a hook. You know what I mean? Like, and look, who knows? Maybe you didn't have, the technology might not have been there. Maybe the budget's not
Hmm.
there. But this Galactus is absolutely what I think. If you're a fan, you want to see it on film. That's what it looks like. I agree. There's so many different things I like about the film, and we've talked about a lot of it there.
Yeah, no, definitely. And shout out to everybody who even made cameos in this movie. Like I even like the fact that they had Sarah Niles as Lynn Nichols as the CEO of the Future Foundation,
Hmm.
where she would like come in. She's very eloquent, she's very smart,
Yeah,
but at the same token, she's sassy enough to put people in their place. She has a sense of humor. Like I just love her grace in all of this, man. I definitely love even the setup with the Gilbert as like the what's the guy's name? Man, we're doing this thing again. Uh, his last name is Downey. He used to have a TV show on WPN.
I
I
don't
can't
know.
think of
I don't know this one.
No, you do. This guy was
This one I would say I don't know.
because he's in RoboCop and doing the same thing, where he has like this so-called hard edge news reporting style, and then well, either way, the guy is doing his Johnny Carson thing, and the
Hmm.
Fantastic Four show up, whatever have you. I just love how like they humor him, but at the same token, when it's time to get busy, they also leave at the end to
Yep.
try and save the world, if you will. And then of course, I love the voice actor who played Galactus as well. I just think that this movie is so dope, man, and it's long overdue.
Yeah, it's a
Long
good one.
overdue.
It's a
Yeah,
good one, man. It's a good one. I know you had like one thing though that
yeah,
you
that's
wanted
it,
that you didn't particularly like as much. So what was that thing?
dude. Maybe it's just the maybe it's just the anticipation of this movie and the expectation that Marvel always delivers two quality end credit scenes. But the last one with the cartoon, which is
Oh
also a
man.
bite of the original cartoon that came out in
Hmm.
the 60s, this is straight rubbish, man. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, there was nothing to it. Like, you could have done so much more with that. You could have, had a cut scene to maybe like other superheroes' activities in there, or the government, or what Johnny and the thing we're doing, having them, going forth with their banter. You could have done anything,
Yeah.
maybe even Reed interacting with the Council of Reeds or trying
Yeah.
to get in contact with them. Not this gibberish at the end. Like, you already did that earlier, and it was
Yeah.
cute when you did it then. You don't have to go back to it again.
Yeah. Yeah. There was a lot of groans on that second scene, man. People
Just
were like, "What?" Like, it's funny. Like I saw the movie with my daughter, and she was saying how um Marvel has trained people. Like
yes.
when the movie ends, nobody moves. Everybody
Yeah.
stays to the end. Everybody knows it's going to be a cutscene.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody knew there was going to be two cutscenes. After the first one, people were like, "Okay,
Yeah.
I did want a little bit more from it. I'm gonna talk about that in a second." But
Mm.
the second one, people were like, "Man, what? Oh, come on, man." Yeah, people felt kind of robbed off that one. Like, but that's fine. I mean, it was like the one in the Spider-Man joint,
Yeah, man.
Homecoming with Captain America at the end, like
Doing
kind of
the
like,
the
yeah,
PSA for the
yeah, the
kids in
meta,
detention.
right, the meta joke thing, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, it's fine, yeah. But that was definitely something. I had a couple other quick things on it. So like I like the Mole Man, and Mole Man is funny.
Yeah,
He had one of the best lines in when he told Johnny, hey, I didn't make you put that outfit
I
on,
didn't
Johnny.
dress you.
Yo, hilarious. Hilarious. And that dude is funny. That dude is funny back from he's also in Cobra Kai.
Yeah, that's right.
He's
That's
in because
right.
he's in Cobra Kai, man. So yeah,
Yeah, that's right.
so that dude is always very funny. Paul Walter Hauser.
Hmm.
He's funny in that scene too. And he brings a nice little comedic touch to it. I didn't like this. So I thought it was kind of. I knew they wanted to bring the character back in, and I understood why they did it. But if
Hmm.
Galactus is coming to your city, like just move everybody out the city, like putting them underground.
Yeah,
I just kept thinking Galactus would probably just step on them
that's what I was thinking.
and crush
Yeah.
everybody. But fine. All right, you got that. Um, I so it this one I'm a little bit on the fence on getting how they actually get Galactus into the space. What I'm going to call the space warp thing. Sue's power to do that. I felt like I don't know if Sue could really pull that off, but at the same time, I understand the baby's in jeopardy. The mom is going to tap into some different. So I feel like okay, I don't know how else it was going to get done. I like that they couldn't trick Galactus the first time, but at the same time, I was like, I didn't. It wasn't one of my things that I loved. I'll say that. I'll say that part. Um, the post credits, so the first post credit scene. Okay, so once again, we're talking about spoilers. All right, so Sue comes in. You see Franklin. Franklin is now 4 years old. Doom is in there talking to him, and it cut off. I just wanted to see something else happen. Like, just let Doom say something. Let him kick Franklin. Do something that's gonna let me know. Okay, this dude is about business, man. Something. Namor could have been sitting there too. Like, hey, Sue, you want to pour me a drink? Something. Just say something. Something that sets up some level of hostility. This that for something that we have coming. And I'm gonna get to that. I'm actually gonna get to that. My hot take, but that was it. Admittedly, I am nitpicking on these things because there's a lot about the movie that I just straight up liked. Um, I do have to point this one thing out though, and this is, like as you said, each Fantastic Four movie kind of builds on the other one. This movie is almost identical to Rise of the Silver Surfer, even down to Sue getting killed at the end and then coming back to life. Like that, like they kind of did it. And granted, this is a much better execution of it. But just like how, when we covered Superman, I had to go through all the points that they hit on that. This one, still same, Silver Surfer, Galactus, world eating threat, Sue gets killed, Sue comes back. Everything was there. Movie executes it better, so I'm not gonna ding it too much. But those were the things that I didn't like that.
One, you're an objective individual. Brain. I'm just saying.
There. Got it, man. All right. So let's talk about popcorn. Wait, no, wait. Yeah, still popcorn.
Yeah,
So
popcorn.
so popcorn. So I'm not gonna bury the lead on this. Four boxes for me. 4 boxes out of 5. Probably the best thing I've seen from Marvel since Guardians of the Galaxy 3, which I also thought was pretty good. Um, Definitely on point. Great movie watching experience. Go check it out. I know you said you saw it twice. I could see
Hmm.
that. I could definitely watch this again in a movie theater. I didn't see it in IMAX, so I wonder like IMAX theater what it would look like. It might be even bigger and greater in scale. Probably especially on
Yeah,
like
it
Galactus.
was.
It'd be
It
really it'd be
was.
good to see that. But yeah, man, definitely a good movie watching experience. And I would say I was pleasantly surprised. I think if you're a fan of the Fantastic Four, you will be very happy watching this. Check it out.
I'll go with 4.5.
There it
Not
is.
quite, not quite classic, but 4.5.
There it is. What was the last 5 Marvel movie?
Oh man, easy.
Endgame.
Yeah,
Is Endgame.
easy,
Yeah. That makes sense.
easy.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well look, that gets us into our questions, man. So and that wasn't my first question, by the way.
Okay,
All right. So this is my first question. And you kind of touched on it a little bit earlier, but I just want to ask it more directly.
okay.
As you said, man, they've made now 3 Fantastic Four movies before this one, right?
Hmm.
Every one of them had a little bit of a hard time. Some of them, maybe some parts worked, some parts didn't. Why do you think it's so hard to get the Fantastic Four right?
I would argue that they actually had 4 movies because there's that campy joint in the 80s where they actually
Oh, I
have the
forgot all
comic
about
book.
that. Yeah, I didn't even count.
And see,
Yeah,
that's my
yeah,
point.
I didn't count that
Everyone
one. Yeah,
forgets. And I
yeah.
think that's the whole thing about these movies. Either they really sour you because of the casting or because of the script or because of the cheesiness,
Mm-hmm.
or the expectations are so high because this is the first family and not seeing them depicted in their rightful glory diminishes them.
Mm-hmm. Okay. But they got it right this time. So
Oh
they were
yeah, no
able, they
question.
were, yeah,
Yeah,
they were
yeah,
able to
yeah,
make that
no,
happen.
because
Okay.
everything was on par, all of the elements. So it introduces their universe, their family, their
Hmm.
likes, dislikes. Yancey Street Boys thing, going back to the community and having his affinity for where he comes from.
Yeah.
Johnny and the girls. You know, it's not blatant in this movie, but
Yeah.
it's
It's not
just
like
enough.
Chris Evans joint. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's just enough. And at the same token, Johnny's not a dumb jock. All these
No.
guys are intelligent. There's a reason why they all went into space. They're not just going to let Ben go because he's a good pilot. He's got to
Yeah.
bring something else.
He's gotta be the best.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like all these things have to make sense.
Yeah, and it really shines. That really shines in the spaceship scenes
Yeah.
because you see like how much they have to really know the technology that they're working
Yes.
with. All right, so let me ask a question. I'm gonna ask a question a little bit of a different way now. So,
Okay.
is there anything in the previous Fantastic Four films that you thought those films did execute well?
Yeah. I like Chris Evans. Since we brought him up, I like
I really did.
his
His Johnny Stone.
brashness
Yeah.
as Johnny, and I wish that they could have done that. I like the way that he interacts with different women on there as well. You know,
Mhm.
his charisma and stuff. So I like that, the brashness, the suave, je ne sais quoi that he possesses. I
Mhm.
like Reed being aloof in several of the movies.
Yes.
And with respect to the more recent with Michael B. Jordan as Johnny, like he also represents that, the hot headedness, the non temperance, you know, the impulsive behavior. I think that it was a little bold that, you know, they made that Johnny adopted,
Yeah,
rather than
that
them.
was a little bit of a switch.
Yeah, you know, and I was like, all right, you know, whatever. But at the same token, I know that there was two different movies made into one, and that amalgamation didn't hit because the two differences, whether it be the subtleties in the wigs that Sue was wearing in that, or even just the outright how the movie just dropped off at the second half to ending of the movie.
Yeah.
But because those things were just straight rubbish, it told Marvel in this movie, no, don't go in that direction. And I think that is the key to execution, knowing what works and what doesn't work.
Yeah, yeah, and I do have to just give a quick shout out to my man Julian McMahon who played Doctor
Yeah,
Doom
rest in power.
in the two Fantastic Four films.
Yeah,
But I gotta say, man, and one of my friends, he'll remember this, man. We love that dude in Nip Tuck
yeah,
as
yeah,
Christian Troy. Yo, that
yeah,
was, that's how we really knew him. Like I know a lot of people might think of him as Doctor Doom, but every time I saw him, it was Christian Troy. Yeah, yeah. As you said, rest in power to him on his
yeah. And
transition.
even before that, he's in the TV show with the Three Witches with Shannon Doherty,
Oh,
who also passed.
yeah,
Rest in power to her as well.
yes, yes.
Charmed.
Charmed. Yes, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. He was in Charmed
yeah,
too. Yep, yeah, he
yeah.
was. He was. All right. Okay. So post credit scenes wise, we talked a little about the ones. So the one in. So I'm gonna go back to Thunderbolts for a second, which I
Hmm.
know we didn't cover, but so Thunderbolts, the movie stops and then they jump forward. I think it's 16 months, right?
Yeah.
So about a
Hmm.
year and some change,
Hmm.
and then that's when you see at the end
Yeah,
they're
the
watching the
ship.
screen and they
Hmm.
see a jet coming, which looks like it's the Fantastic
Same.
Four thing,
They
right?
Excelsior. Shout out to
The
Stan Lee.
Excelsior,
Rest
right?
in power.
Yes, yes. Good
Yeah.
point. This movie stops. It jumps ahead 4 years.
Hmm.
So what I'm trying to wonder is what is happening with the timing of the films at this point. Like, what relationship are we to draw between this movie 4 years later, the last movie 16 months later? But this seems like the Fantastic Four is still the bridge between them. I know that's a real speculative question out there. So
Yeah, but no,
whatever
I
you
like
say,
it.
I won't hold you against the prognostication of it. But what
No,
do you think
I
here?
like it. Somehow, some way, Reed actually gets that the time warp thing that he was working, that the Silver Surfer blew up.
Hmm.
Somehow that way it actually works. But unfortunately, they're the only ones that are able to escape. And I think you see that ship is when they're trying to escape from the 828 universe. So Battle World is already starting to commence. Somehow, some way, Doctor Doom, Robert Downey Jr.'s version, manages to have these incursions start, and then this is when Battle World starts to happen. And Reed even mentions when he's telling the kids on the blackboard, "Hey, do you want to see something blow up?" Because he's
Oh
losing them.
yeah, yeah,
But prior to that, he says there are alternate universes,
yeah.
other Earths that vibrate on a different frequency that are happening concurrently with this one. And I think that is the allusion to that. Then, if I'll even give you an extra joint, they say that the next Spider-Man movie is going to be the last in this phase, and then we're going to automatically jump into Battle World. Well, we also remember that Tom Holland, due to Doctor Strange and his evocation of the magic spell to get everybody to forget, and you see the different Spider-Man villains from alternate
Mm-hmm.
Earths and different
I remember.
universes and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think somehow, some way, that's going to play into it too, as like this is the schism that happens, and that's the catalyst. And then you're going to see simultaneously all these different elements being brought in, as far as like, oh, there's the Fantastic Four ship. Maybe you see Doom or some other heroes come in. I know, unfortunately, we won't get to see Miles Morales because there's this thing going on with Sony and everything
Yeah,
like that.
read about
But
that.
at the same token, we are going to get treats of other superheroes coming in simultaneously.
Got it. So you're saying like what we're seeing is the Fantastic Four actually from the 4 years
Mm-hmm.
in the future
Mm-hmm.
coming back to that time
Yeah.
period.
Yeah.
Okay, just to prevent Doom and Battle
Yeah.
World.
Just to
All right,
prevent it.
I got you. All right, that makes sense. Okay, cool. We'll see. we'll see.
I mean,
We'll
we'll
see.
see, but
We'll see. We'll see if it happens. But yeah, that sounds good. All right. Okay. You mentioned the Spider-Man movie, so this is a
mm-hmm.
good segue into my next question. So the next Spider-Man movie is the last major picture before
Yeah.
Avengers Doomsday comes out. What, if anything, do you think has to happen in that movie to set up Doomsday, or does it have to at all?
Oh no, it definitely has to. There has to be a meeting between him and Doctor Doom where he's like, Tony, and he's like, nah, I don't know who you're talking about, whatever, whatever. Or he could acknowledge like, nah, that's a different version of me. That's not me, kid. I don't have that going on with you, whatever, whatever. Um, so that has to tug on him at the heartstrings. That has to be there. Because
Okay.
last time you saw, he was hugging him and he's like, I can't believe this. And he's crying and everything. So
Yeah.
there's got to be that heartwarming, touching scene between the two of them interacting. Simultaneously, um, Ned and MJ don't know who he is. So
Right.
that also has to be in there. Somehow, some way, they've got to, either tie a bow on that so he can, meet his whatever. If it's a Gwen Stacy or whomever, and even though they already met her, it's got to be another one. So maybe let's go with Felicia Hardy. So they've got to introduce other heroes, a la Black Cat. They've got to introduce other villains. So, they got Kingpin already. Somehow,
Yeah.
some way, these street level heroes have to interact. So you got to bring in the Punisher, you got to bring in Daredevil. So you're going to have new characters, new threats, new heartwarming moments, and then to wrap it all up, they got to somehow make his interactions with J. Jonah Jameson happen. Like you've seen it be off
Mm.
screen or whatever have you, but now you got to really bring in J. Jonah and Peter interacting face to face.
Got it. Got it. And by the way, I would love to see the Hobgoblin in a
Oh
movie.
yeah,
I
but
would love
that's
to
what I
see
mean
that.
by new villains. So
Yeah.
whomever you
I would.
pick,
Yeah, I would love to see that.
yeah.
All right, last question, man, and I think I know what you're gonna say, but I'm gonna ask the question anyway. Does the Fantastic Four, the success of this film, does this mean that Marvel is quote unquote back?
Marvel was back with the Thunderbolts. Marvel was back
Okay, yeah,
with,
that's right. You did like Thunderbolts. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
and I
Yeah,
would even
you did like
argue Marvel
Thunderbolts.
was back with Black Cat, with that Anthony
Oh, Black
Mackie.
Cap. I thought you said
Mhm.
Black Cat. I was
No, no,
like,
no,
wait, what?
Black Cap.
I missed that movie.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, no. I think
Was Sydney Sweeney in that? Like, did I miss that one? That's what I was thinking. But no, okay.
I think that they have steadily and gradually and incrementally made steps to this movie. And I think the next movie is going to be even better. I think that's why they phrased it the way that they did, with Spider-Man being one of those closing out movies, with the hesitation, if you will, of making that Blade movie. They
Mhm.
didn't want to just throw movies out there arbitrarily. No,
Yeah,
they wanted to make it make sense. And they wanted to be so that, you know what, if you didn't want to go see any other movies, you don't have to, because it
yeah,
won't draw on like, oh, remember, la 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 la. And which is really a comic book thing, where it'll say, in a blurb with an asterisk, see Spider-Man number,
yes,
whatever have you.
yes.
And I think that's the reason a lot of people are frustrated, because they don't collect books. So they don't know, like, this is the format.
That's a part of the
That's part of the whole lore.
That's part of the experience, no doubt, no doubt. All right, cool, man. So that's my questions, man. What you got for me on the Fantastic Four first
All right, there,
steps?
sir. So my first question to you is, who's your favorite Fantastic Four character and why?
Yeah, I gotta tell you, man. Once again, the casting was so dope, and the way that they set the characters up, it's hard for me to just say for sure like who my favorite character was. but like water gun to my head, I'm gonna say it was The Thing.
Okay.
And the reason
It's
why,
strawberry time.
right? Look, I like the thing with the beard. I like the
Yeah,
bearded
comic book
thing.
accurate.
Yo, I like that. And Eben Moss Bachrach, who's in the Bear, right? Who I liked him
Shout
in
out
the
to that.
Bear.
Yeah.
I liked him in this. I thought he did a lot with his voice
Mm-hmm.
that that presented a good contrast to the way I was seeing the thing. Now,
Yeah.
as a person who collected comic books as a kid, looking and seeing something that looks like the thing and looks that much like the thing was
Yeah.
great. But then the way his voice works with that character and with the movements, it just made it fun to watch the thing on the screen the whole time. So I would say if there was one that really stood out for me, it would be that. That would have been my favorite.
I
But
dig it, man.
they're all good. They're all good. All the portrayals were good.
Yes, yes, yes. All of them were very and shout out to Michael Chiklis who played the thing.
Yeah,
Uh
back in the day in the
yeah.
other one. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
no, definitely shout out to and even Jamie Bell who played the thing with Michael B. Jordan and Miles Teller.
Which that one was very comic book accurate, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that one had like, and like you said, man, some of these movies, it's about how much money you have to make them and those things. It looks like they had a little bit more money in that one because
Mm-hmm.
they really emphasized the rock kind of jagged nature of it. But
Yeah.
I think they kind of smoothed it out and perfected it with this one.
Yeah, just like even though the differences between Vanessa Kirby, Jessica Alba, and Kate Mara
Hmm.
were different, I think that those different phases of Sue also are symbolic of what her mind state was and how she had to interact with, in these different group settings. So, the group dynamic has been different. So obviously it's going to be reflective in the different people that come about that.
Yep.
My next question for you is Ben Grimm a tragic hero?
Yeah, man, he is because it's so many characters, they're them getting powers doesn't mean they had to give up something
Mm,
in the process.
yeah.
Spider-Man still looks like a teenage guy. He can
Mm-hmm.
take off his suit. He can do that. Um, other people they get these powers, like Captain Marvel. She gets those powers,
Yeah.
but she still can look like a regular person. The Thing looks like the Thing, and he
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have the ability to turn back
Yeah.
into Benjamin Grimm. So even in that sense, he's different than the Hulk, who can at least find some reprieve by looking like Bruce Banner. So he's just, and by the way, I like the fact that he can't do that because it makes you always wrestle with the fact that the character has to live like this. Like he
Yeah.
can, like he can shop at men's XXXXXXXXL. You know what I mean? Again, he has some nice fit on too. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like he
Also
tried to
comic
smooth it
book
out. You know what
accurate.
I mean? Wait, like he put a little vest, a little
Yeah.
sweater. You know what I mean? Some cashmere. Probably had
Even
to
the
kill
hats.
15 cows to make that stuff, man. But but he's stuck with that.
Mm-hmm.
And there's always a sense of he can't connect to people
Mm-hmm.
the way that of course a man would want to connect with people. And you get
Yes.
a little bit of that in the film, but they don't lean into it too much, which I
Mm-hmm.
appreciate it. But yeah, man, he is because he is that and he has to live with that and he's found purpose in being that way. So it's fantastic. I did not mean to say
Yeah,
that, but
pun
I did not
intended.
mean to say that. I feel, oh man, I felt that's like wonk, wonk. I said that. Yeah, but it is. Yeah, no, that's he's definitely a tragic hero, and it makes sense.
Bet. My last question is: does the movie fully capture the spirit of the comics, or does it take too many creative liberties with the characters and their origin stories?
It really does. It does. It does. I'm not. I think it does. It may take liberties because there's certain things that they show that I didn't even think their powers worked like that. Like
Mm.
like there's that scene where Human Torch is flying through the fire and he's absorbing
Zorby,
the
yeah.
fire to him, which I
Dope.
didn't. I didn't think about that happening. But I was like, cool. Or the
That's
scene
comic book
where
accurate, though.
okay, well, there it is. Or the scene where Sue is able to make her stomach see through
Yeah.
so Reed can
Translucent,
see
yeah.
the baby. Like I didn't even think about her powers working that way, but I loved that. I loved that. And I think the comic booky kind of feel comes from their surroundings
Mm.
and the sense that it feels like a fantasy world.
Yeah.
So it looks like it's on paper. You know what I mean? And I think that it's really like trying to thread a needle to make a film with adults in it and have it feel like a comic book film without it feeling like something for kids.
Mm.
And this movie, it has those elements, but there's things that they put in it that helped it to feel like as an adult I can appreciate it as well. So yeah, it's got the comic book vibe, but they execute it very, very well in this, man.
Nah, that's dope, man. That's dope. And that concludes the questions for this round. All
There it
right,
is.
man.
There it is, man. All right, so hot
A take.
takes.
Yeah.
Mr. Will, what you got on the Human Torch takes, man?
All right, so I only got two this time. The first one being is the MCU gets its Fantastic Four right, and finally, and I've talked about this already, so I won't go into depth. And number two is the end credit scene. It teases a very major MCU payoff, particularly the appearance of Doom interacting
Mm-hmm.
with Franklin with the mask off, and
Mm-hmm.
Franklin having the powers that he has to basically alter universes. Like he could be healing the scar on Doom's face. We wouldn't know.
Right.
Or making it rearranged into something that he finds more aesthetically pleasing. We don't know. Maybe that's the reason why he looks like Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man.
That would be
So,
interesting.
so
That
we
would be
don't,
interesting.
yeah,
Okay.
we don't really know, But either way, this movie signals the coming of Avengers Doomsday, and I will definitely, I'm looking forward to that.
There it is. There it is. Sorry. So my thing is gonna start like it's gonna look like it's going down, man, but it's gonna come up at the end, right? So my hot take is after walking out of this film, I said, you know what, man, they blew the whole multiverse saga thing, man. That thing,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
To me, they're and it's almost like Marvel is it's such a mature company now, and it's a mature the Marvel Cinematic Universe is very mature now, and it's easier to critique something that's been around for a long time and been successful than it
Mm,
is for something that hasn't. So it's hard to watch what's happened over the last 4 years and not think about those first 10 years and how well they used Thanos and the Infinity Stones to build and build and
yeah.
build towards this cosmic Avengers level threat that would bring these teams and these people together to fight against something greater than themselves. I think that because these last 4 years, they've put so much, and I'm saying Marvel and Disney has put so much emphasis on the introduction of so many new characters that it's kind of lost the connectivity that the first 10 years had. And it kind of makes the multiverse thing it's done to me. I don't even
Mm.
think about it being as the connective tissue
Uh,
anymore. Now, with that said, here's where the thing goes up.
mm-hmm.
I have no doubt that they are going to execute a good two films with Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars. Part of that is because the Russo brothers, I think, are excellent at understanding how to make films in this universe and how to bring together all of these elements and callbacks in ways that don't jam the story up as they're delivering it.
Mm.
And I got to be honest with you, I think Robert Downey Jr. will absolutely do well as Doctor Doom. Now,
Yeah.
maybe there was somebody else they could have picked, but I trust his acting ability
Mm.
and I trust his presence on film to drive and move that story closer, the movie forward. So I think that they're going to be good. I just don't think it. I don't think it's even fair to compare phases 4, 5, and 6 to phase, or, I'm sorry, or yeah, 4, 5, and 6 to 1 through 3, because they're almost like two different things. But
Mm.
in the end, I do think a year from now, 2 years from now, if we make it that long, that because some people would say we live in an Avengers Doomsday right now as it is, but fine. Which like when we get there, I do think they're going to execute it well. So I mean, I'm along for the ride, man. We're gonna see what happens.
Definitely, definitely. Oh, that's dope, yo.
You're gonna see what happens. So look, so that concludes our breakdown of Fantastic Four First Steps, which is in theaters now. This also marks the end of our season 8. So this is typically a time where me and Mr. Will take a couple of weeks off, man, enjoy some vacation time, much needed. You know what I mean? But listen, this season we have covered so many films. We covered Mission Impossible 2, Mission Impossible Fallout, Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, Ballerina, Empire Strikes Back, American Fiction, Triple Frontier, Harder They Fall, Superman, In Too Deep, and the Fantastic Four. A lot of stuff is available on our YouTube page, and that's just the last 11 movies we did. We got another 80 something for you to check out, whether that you decide to check it out uh, on our Apple Podcast page, our Spotify page, or our YouTube page. We want you to like, subscribe, and share so that when we come back and we start dropping new things, you get those drops from us. We'll see you in a couple weeks. Take it easy. Peace.